3D printing.
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 Plastic is a design failure.
Talk about plastic straws.
How many shows on plastic straws are you going to have here on Fox?
I don't really even know what to say, but this week I had to make a really tough call. Let me tell you about the 3D printing industry, its use of plastic, its relation to the environment, and the term it loves to use, biodegradable. So if you hadn't seen, I just launched an Etsy shop where I was going to be selling these little Minecraft 3D flowers. I kept version 1 because it's cute and bad. So I had my Etsy shop open for about a week and a half. I was mapping out the future of this business. I was planning to buy a second 3D printer to continue printing more things, but I decided to cancel all of that. I closed the shop. Here's why. So it's the first warm day and I'm sitting out on the porch with my wife. We're having one of our deep conversations, which we love to do, and we start talking about plastic and how I don't really understand what it is that my 3D printer really produces, and how I had just started a business that only produces plastic. So let's take a closer look. I print with what's called PLA, or polylactic acid. Now, PLA is actually really cool because it's obtained from renewable resources such as corn. The starch glucose is extracted from the plants and converted into dextrose by the addition of enzymes. This is fermented by microorganisms into lactic acid, which in turn is converted to produces long. You know, I don't know what any of this means, but it's pretty cool that it's made from corn. So I buy this stuff by the spool with 1 kilogram of PLA on it, in literally any color I want. Then my printer, using a Bowen extruder, forces the PLA into the hot end, which creates a stream of PLA out the nozzle onto the bed. What I do is create a 3D object in any 3D program that can do that, bring it into what's called a slicer, which is smart enough to write a path for my 3D printer to properly print my object. The slicer gives me a G-code file, and the printer can interpret that G-code file and create an object. Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop in really quickly. If you're enjoying this content, please leave a like. If you're new, click subscribe. And I have something too. Tonight at 7 p.m. EST on Wednesdays, I'm going live on this YouTube channel. There's already a 24-hour stream there. You can join that now and be there early. Just tune into that one. I'll flip it over to me doing stuff, and then I'll flip it back. But we upload here every Wednesdays, so click subscribe if you haven't. Thanks. Back to the video. So once the print is done, I just pop it off and use it how I please. There's 3D printed stuff all over my studio. So say I realize my print is messed up halfway, and I stop the print. Or I pop off the support material needed to hold up the print. What do I do with that? The short answer is nothing. You toss it to the side. Now, I had heard that PLA was biodegradable, so in my tiny little head, I assumed I could just pick my poison, could choose a bin. So do I throw it in the trash and just assume it's gonna end up in a landfill or incinerated, or recycle it and hope that the same thing doesn't happen? You know those little numbers on the bottom of your plastic items? Well, only numbers 1 and 2 can actually be recycled. Quick clarification, 3 and 5 can actually be recycled, but it takes a really specific plant to be able to do it, and those are pretty rare. PLA is number 7. To a normal human, plastics 1 through 7 are often just put in the recycle bin and sent to the recycling center. But on most occasions, 3 through 7 are all filtered out and just sent off to the landfill or an incinerator. And this is hoping that it's able to be identified and not covered in food. Take here, where I live, Cleveland, Ohio. Here's what we can actually put in our recycle bin. Jugs and bottles, that's it. And we can just hope that these pass inspections to actually be recycled. That's tough. So when I would toss my 3D printed PLA into either bin, it will either be incinerated or put in a landfill. That sucks. What also sucks is this type of plastic can sometimes look like other types of plastic. Because my flower was printed by me, I didn't put a number tag on the bottom of it. It can be confused and mixed with other plastics that can be recycled. And then when that happens, this contaminates that entire batch and ruins the whole thing. That is quite disappointing. When the side of this spool of filament literally says eco-friendly 3D printer filament, and it has a leaf. Yikes. So just so it's clear, there is no such thing as a better PLA. For the most part, it's all the same. If they claim biodegradation, it means they meet the ASTM D6400-19 standard of biodegradation. So what does the biodegradable tag actually mean? There's this quote from Jean-Peter Willy. He's the founder of a 3D print filament company called 3D4 Makers. It's crazy how much these 3D print companies love these number puns, but moving on. He says, many people confuse biodegradable with compostable. Broadly speaking, biodegradable means that an object can be biologically broken down, while compostable typically specifies that such process will result in compost. All composting is always biodegradation, but not all biodegradation is composting. I will actually take some responsibility here because it's clear that I misunderstood what biodegradable means. But I will also pass a little bit of responsibility back to the companies who seem to do a pretty good job of making sure I don't figure it out. It's clear to me now that the prefix bio tricked me into thinking that it meant like earth and green, when really biodegradable just means can be disintegrated. Just can. There's an amazing YouTube video by this channel, Hoarders, which you should totally watch if this topic interests you. He has the same question as me, but is much smarter, and his brain is much larger. So we did some experiments. Spoiler. He left a print underwater, one in the dirt, one in the weather, and one on his desk. After 2 years, none of them changed in strength or quality at all. None of them changed. Nothing happened. I remember pausing and just being still for a moment. Like, God damn it. I thought it'd be fine, but no. RIP to the dabbing stormtrooper I printed years ago. It's not unreasonable to think that some of my old prints could just be sitting in a landfill or on the bottom of the ocean. And Lord knows they're like especially susceptible to being broken down because look, PLA is printed in layers. So that means it's simple to just crack it the right way. And they are especially susceptible to being broken apart into microplastics, and don't even get me started, we all know how bad that is. This really sucks, and is why I titled this video, The Greenwashing That Is 3D Printing. I think most people have good intentions and didn't think that they were causing any harm by creating these little plastic trinkets to use, but the reality is they were. So back to this whole biodegradable thing, how does that work? Say you actually find a place that can biodegrade PLA, what does that look like? In an industrial composting facility, the PLA will be put into a vat with only other PLA and needs to be kept above 140 degrees Fahrenheit or between 55 and 70 degrees Celsius. It needs lots of oxygen and a special microorganism that only exist in these specific plants. I don't know why I'm so disappointed by this. Yeah, biodegradable, but more like that one time at the one place, and it can only be this one type of plastic, so it's really specific, and yeah, that sucks. That sucks. The hardest part of all this is there's actually tons of plastics that you can 3D print with, but you cannot mix them. Not for printing, not for recycling, or biodegrading. Look at this email that I got from the one place I found that can manage these plastics. The best solution to suit your needs would be in our 3D printing materials zero waste box. Sweet. Please send us any ABS printing spools or 3D printing materials available by your zero waste. Please let me know if you have any questions and have a great day. Do I have any questions? Why the hell is this so complicated? And it's still worth it in my eyes. I'm going to pay for this because it's still my interaction with the environment, and if that's a detail I can control, I'm gonna do it. $149 for a small box. Well then, it's still worth it, it's still worth it, it's still worth it, it's still worth it, it's still worth it. I guess the lesson is that nothing is as simple as it seems. I don't take the word greenwashing lightly. I actually really hated that word and it used to piss me off because I felt like it was just thrown places it doesn't belong. But this is the first example that has interacted with my real life where I feel like it completely makes sense. Biodegradable, sure, kinda, but not really. Something to think about. So literally, I had just launched the Tulip, which was gonna be my second product, which I love. It looks so good. I love this thing. I pulled everything off the Etsy store. And I stand by that decision. I think that in the long run of my life, I stand by it. I think it was worth it. This doesn't mean I'm gonna stop 3D printing. I actually have a lot of personal 3D printing projects I wanna work on. And the reality is because if I produce the plastic, I can control that everything that is a mistake gets biodegraded properly. And then everything else is something that stays with me and is useful. And then when it becomes not useful again, I will biodegrade it. I think as an artist, a 3D printer is literally the coolest thing you can own. I can have an idea, and within a couple of hours, I can hold it in my hand. Whatever it is that I want to create, I can hold it in my hand. And I have so many ideas. I want to do my pegboard. I want to build a board game. I want to create knickknacks around my office that just do the minute, tiniest little things. But because I can, it's awesome. So that's something I went through this week. I just wanted to share that. I guess that's my first real example of like, you know, profit is not more worth it than a moral that I have. And I'm proud of myself for that. And I should do everything I can to manage my involvement with the environment. That's a me thing. It's not a you thing. You can do whatever the hell you want. You're a human. You have self-will. You have control of whatever it is you want to do. But I can control my actions. That made me feel good.